What if today was the day you stopped letting your potential slip away? Imagine waking up each morning with a fire to become better, stronger, and closer to the life you've always dreamed of. On Zenlight 8, we're diving into 13 powerful Stoic lessons that will push you to transform your days, one choice at a time. Ready to force yourself to be your best self? Starting now? Let's get into it. Don't let your potential fade away. Have you ever caught yourself staring out a window, wondering where the days have gone? The hours blur into weeks, and before you know it, another year has passed, leaving you with that quiet ache. The feeling that you're capable of so much more, but something keeps holding you back. It's not just time slipping away. It's your potential, dimming like a candle left too long in the wind. But here's the truth. Every single day is a fresh chance to rewrite that story, to step closer to the person you were meant to become. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, remind us that life isn't about waiting for a grand moment. It's about seizing the ordinary ones and making them extraordinary. Picture this. You wake up to a new morning, the world buzzing with possibilities. That moment, right there, is a gift, a blank canvas where you can paint the life you've always wanted. The Stoics didn't believe in procrastination. They saw each day as a sacred opportunity to act with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, a man who carried the weight of an empire, still took time every morning to reflect on what it meant to live well. He didn't wait for permission or perfection. He chose to move forward, one deliberate step at a time. And you can too. What if, instead of letting today slip into the haze of routine, you decided to make it count? Not with overwhelming changes, but with small, meaningful choices that add up to something monumental. Think about someone like Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Each misstep could have been a reason to quit, but he saw every day as a chance to inch closer to his vision. That's the power of not wasting your potential. It's not about instant success. It's about refusing to let your dreams gather dust. Your potential isn't a fixed resource. It's a muscle that grows stronger the more you use it. Maybe today it's signing up for that course you've been eyeing, writing the first line of a story, or simply taking a walk to clear your mind and reconnect with yourself. These moments aren't trivial. They're the building blocks of greatness. Now, I want you to pause and feel the weight of this truth. You're not just living for today. Every choice you make ripples into your future, shaping the person you'll become. The tragedy isn't failing, it's never trying, never giving yourself the chance to see what you're truly capable of. So, my friend, don't let another day pass in the shadow of what if. You have everything you need right now to start. That spark inside you, just waiting to be fanned into a flame. All it takes is one decision to act, to say, today, I'm choosing me. And here's the thing, unlocking your potential starts with believing you have power over your own mind, a Stoic principle that's like a key to a locked door. Let's explore that next, because it's where the real transformation begins. Master your mind. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, rain pouring, wind howling, chaos swirling around you. Now imagine choosing to stay calm, your heart steady, your focus unshaken. That's the power of controlling your mind, a gift the Stoics handed down through centuries, wrapped in the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Those words aren't just philosophy. They're a lifeline. Life will always throw curveballs. Missed deadlines, unexpected setbacks, or even the weight of a bad day. But what if the real battle isn't out there? What if it's within you in the way you choose to respond? Let's talk about Laura, the woman from the park in our story. She spent years believing she was destined to be average, her mind trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. People told her she wasn't enough. Not smart like her brother, not bold like her friends. Over time, she bought into that narrative, letting it shape her choices, her days, her life. But one encounter changed everything. An older man, running with a prosthetic leg, told her, "It's all in your mind. Your body will do whatever you believe is possible." Those words cracked open a door she'd long thought locked. That night, Laura didn't just hear Marcus Aurelius's quote. She felt it. For the first time, she realized she couldn't control what others thought of her, but she could control what she thought of herself. And that shift, it was like flipping a switch from darkness to light. Controlling your mind doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything's fine. It's about choosing where to focus your energy. Think about a time you were stressed. Maybe a work project went south or a family argument left you drained. Your instinct might have been to spiral, replaying what went wrong, imagining worst-case scenarios. But what if, instead, you paused and asked, what can I control right now? That's the Stoic way. It's not about denying pain. It's about refusing to let it steer the ship. Studies in psychology, like those from Stanford University, show that people who practice cognitive reframing, shifting how they view challenges, are less likely to burn out and more likely to bounce back from adversity. Your mind is a muscle, and every time you choose focus over fear, you make it stronger. Let's make this real for you. Picture waking up tomorrow to a problem. An email from your boss, a bill you didn't expect, or even just a gray mood that won't lift. Instead of letting it hijack your day, try this. Take a deep breath and write down one thing you can do about it. Maybe it's drafting a response, budgeting a little tighter, or going for a walk to clear your head. That small act of control anchors you. It's not about solving everything. It's about reminding yourself you're not helpless. Over time, those moments stack up, building a kind of inner fortress nothing can shake. I want you to think of someone like Oprah Winfrey, who rose from poverty and unimaginable hardship to become a global icon. She didn't control her circumstances. Abuse, discrimination, and rejection were part of her story, but she controlled her response. She chose to believe in her worth, to learn, to keep moving forward. That's what mastering your mind looks like in action. It's not about being perfect. It's about refusing to let the world dictate your inner peace. Now, don't get me wrong. This takes practice. Your mind will wander. Doubt will creep in. Old habits will tug at you. But every time you catch yourself and redirect your focus, you're rewiring your brain. Neuroscience backs this up. Neuroplasticity means your brain adapts to what you repeatedly do. So, make a habit of choosing courage over complaint, action over anxiety. Start small. When you feel overwhelmed, ask, what's one thing I can do right now? Write it down, do it, and watch how that tiny victory shifts your entire day. The beauty of this Stoic principle is that it's always within your reach. You don't need money, status, or a perfect life to master your mind. Just the willingness to try. And when you do, you'll find a strength that no storm can touch. But strength alone isn't enough unless you pair it with purpose. Because every day you're given is a thread in the tapestry of your life, waiting to be woven with intention. Let's talk about how to make each one count. Seize every day. Close your eyes for a second and imagine a rope stretching out before you, each strand representing a single day of your life. Some strands are thick and vibrant, woven with purpose and pride. Others are frayed, barely holding together, lost to distraction or doubt. Now ask yourself, how many strands are you letting slip through your fingers because you keep telling yourself there's always tomorrow? The Stoics didn't see time as infinite. They saw it as precious, each day a chance to build something solid, something lasting. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive." Those words aren't just poetic. They're a call to action, a reminder that time lost is gone forever. Let's go back to Laura for a moment. After her park encounter, she didn't transform overnight. But she started small, waking up 20 minutes earlier to jot down what she wanted from life. Those first notes were simple. Learn something new, feel proud, stop fearing failure. But they were hers. Each morning, she'd read them, grounding herself in purpose. Some days, she'd only manage a page of a book or a short walk, but those moments added up. Over months, those fragile strands of effort became a rope strong enough to pull her toward a life she'd once thought impossible. Today, Laura's not chasing fame or riches. She's chasing meaning, and that's made all the difference. Here's the thing. Every day matters not because you have to achieve something huge, but because it's a chance to move forward. The average American lives about 27,000 days. Sounds like a lot, right? But by the time you're 30, you've already used up over a third of them. By 50, it's more than half. And no one gets a guarantee of tomorrow. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Time isn't a renewable resource. When you put off that workout, that conversation, that dream, you're not just delaying, you're risking never doing it at all. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, treated each morning as a fresh start to live with virtue, to act with intention, to make the day count. Let's make this practical. Think about tonight when you're lying in bed, reflecting on today. How do you want to feel? Proud that you took a step forward? Or frustrated because you let another day slide? Here's a challenge. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to be better? It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. Maybe it's calling a friend you've been meaning to reconnect with, spending 15 minutes learning a new skill, or even just writing down 3 things you're grateful for. The point is to act with purpose, to make today a strand that strengthens your rope rather than weakens it. I want to share a story about my friend Jake, a guy who used to live on autopilot: work, Netflix, repeat. He'd always say, "I'll start that business someday." But someday never came. Then one day his dad passed away unexpectedly. It was a gut punch. Jake realized he'd been waiting for a perfect moment that doesn't exist. So he started small. Every morning he'd spend 30 minutes researching his idea. Some days he felt stuck, but he kept going. A year later, he launched a small online store. It's not a $1 million company yet, but it's his, built from days he refused to waste. Jake's rope is stronger now, and he's weaving it with pride. Science supports this too. A study from Harvard found that people who set daily intentions, specific, achievable goals, are 42% more likely to follow through on long-term plans. Why? Because small, purposeful actions create momentum. They're like compound interest for your soul, tiny deposits that grow into something massive over time. And here's the kicker: you don't need hours to make a day count. A 10-minute walk can shift your mood. A single-page read can spark an idea. A kind word to someone can change their day and yours. But purpose isn't just about tasks. It's about energy. I learned this from author Robin Sharma, who talks about owning your morning. He says how you start your day sets the tone for everything else. So, try this. Tomorrow, before you dive into the chaos, take 5 minutes to breathe, reflect, or visualize how you want to show up. Grateful, focused, alive. That energy will carry you further than any to-do list. And when you slip up because you will, don't beat yourself up. The Stoics weren't about perfection. They were about persistence. If you miss a day, start again. The rope isn't finished until you stop weaving. Now, I know what you're thinking, but life's busy. I don't have time. Let me be blunt. Busyness is a choice. You make time for what matters. Scroll through your phone less. Say no to things that drain you, and protect your days like the treasures they are. Because here's the truth. No one's going to hand you a meaningful life. You have to build it one day at a time with choices that reflect who you want to be. And as you weave those daily strands with purpose, you'll start to see your potential not as a distant dream, but as something real, something you're capable of unlocking. That's where the next step comes in, believing you're enough just as you are to make it happen. Let's dive into that. Believe in your boundless potential. What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't your circumstances, your resources, or even your past? It's you. That quiet voice in your head whispering, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never make it." It's a voice we all know too well. One that feels like truth, but is nothing more than a shadow of doubt. Epictetus, a man born into slavery, yet who rose to become one of history's greatest philosophers, had a simple but earth-shaking insight. Circumstances don't make the man. They reveal him. Your challenges, your struggles, they're not here to define you. They're here to show you what you're made of, to peel back the layers and uncover the strength you've had all along. My friend, you are capable of more than you dare to imagine, and it's time to start believing it. Let's rewind to Laura's story for a moment. When she sat in that park, watching the world pass her by, she was convinced she was just average Laura, not destined for anything remarkable. But that day, something shifted. The sight of a man running with a prosthetic leg, defying every excuse she'd ever made, wasn't just inspiring. It was a mirror. It showed her that the limits she'd accepted weren't real. They were stories she'd told herself, walls she'd built in her mind. When she started writing down her dreams the next morning, she wasn't just making a list. She was rewriting her belief in herself. Each small step she took, reading a page, trying something new, was proof that she was more than her doubts. And you know what? You're no different. Believing in your potential isn't about ignoring reality or pretending you're flawless. It's about recognizing that the barriers you see, fear of failure, worry about what others think, are illusions you can dismantle. Take a second to think about someone like J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was a single mom scraping by, rejected by publisher after publisher. The world didn't see her as a literary giant. Not yet. But she saw something in herself. She believed in her story, her voice, her ability to keep going. That belief didn't erase her struggles. It gave her the courage to push through them. What could that kind of belief do for you? Here's where it gets real. Science backs this up. A 2018 study in psychological science found that self-efficacy, your belief in your ability to succeed, directly impacts performance. People who trusted their capabilities didn't just do better. They kept going when others quit. Why? Because when you believe you can, your brain doesn't shut down, it searches for solutions. Doubt closes doors. Belief kicks them open. So, let's try something right now. Think of one thing you've always wanted to do but told yourself you couldn't. Maybe starting a business, running a 5K, or even speaking up in a meeting. Now ask yourself, what's really stopping me? If the answer is, I'm not ready or I'm not good enough, call it out for what it is, a lie. You don't need to be perfect to start, you just need to start. I want to share a personal moment. A few years ago, I was terrified to give a presentation at work. My stomach churned, my palms sweated, and that voice in my head screamed, "You're going to bomb." But I remembered something I'd read about Epictetus, how he faced every challenge by focusing on what he could control. I couldn't control the audience's reaction, but I could control my effort. So I prepared, practiced, and showed up. Was it flawless? Nope, but I did it. And each time I did, that voice got quieter, my confidence grew louder. Today, I lead meetings with ease, not because I'm naturally gifted, but because I chose to believe I could grow. So here's your challenge. Pick one thing you've been avoiding because you think you're not enough. Write it down, make it real. Then take one tiny step toward it today. If it's running, lace up your shoes and walk around the block. If it's a dream job, update one line of your resume. That step isn't just action. It's a declaration to yourself, I am capable. And when doubt creeps in, remind yourself of Epictetus's truth. Your circumstances are just a stage, and you get to decide how you perform. Believing in yourself is like planting a seed. It needs care to grow. And that care comes from building habits that reinforce your potential, turning small actions into unshakable routines. Let's explore how to make that happen. Build habits that last a lifetime. Have you ever started something with a burst of excitement? A new workout plan, a daily journal, a promise to read more, only to watch it fizzle out in a week? We've all been there, riding the high of motivation, thinking, this time, it's different. But motivation is like a sugar rush, it spikes, then crashes. The Stoics knew this, which is why they didn't rely on fleeting feelings to shape their lives. Instead, they built systems, habits so strong they became second nature. The secret to lasting change isn't willpower. It's creating routines so simple and steady, they carry you forward even on your worst days. Let's circle back to Laura. When she decided to change her life, it wasn't a grand overhaul. She didn't vow to run marathons or reinvent herself overnight. Instead, she started with 20 minutes each morning, writing down her goals and taking one small action, like reading a chapter or stretching for 5 minutes. At first, it felt awkward, forced even, but she kept going, tying those moments to her daily routine. She'd make coffee, sit at her kitchen table, and write. That ritual became her anchor. Over time, she didn't have to think about it. It was just what she did. Those tiny habits didn't just change her days. They changed who she was. Here's the deal. Habits aren't about intensity, They're about consistency. Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, calls this the difference between goals and systems. Goals can trap you, making you obsess over a finish line and feel like a failure if you don't hit it. Systems, on the other hand, are about progress. Want to get fit? Don't aim for a six-pack in 6 weeks. Commit to moving your body every day, even if it's just a 10-minute walk. Want to learn something new? Don't stress about mastering it. Read 1 page a day. Systems make change feel doable, not daunting. Let me share a story about my cousin, Mia. She used to struggle with staying organized. Her desk was chaos, her schedule a mess. She'd try to get it together every January, only to give up by February. Then she read about habit stacking, a trick from James Clear's Atomic Habits. The idea is to tie a new habit to something you already do. Mia started small. Every morning, after brushing her teeth, she'd spend 2 minutes tidying one corner of her desk. That was it. No pressure, no overhaul. Within a month, her desk was clear, and she'd added another habit, writing a to-do list after tidying. Now, 2 years later, Mia runs her own freelance business, and her mornings are a well-oiled machine. That tiny system didn't just organize her desk, it organized her life. Science loves this approach. A 2019 study from University College London found that habits form faster when they're easy and tied to existing routines. The average habit takes 66 days to stick, but simple ones, like drinking a glass of water after breakfast, can lock in much sooner. So, how do you build habits that last? Start with something so small it's laughable. Want to meditate? Sit quietly for 30 seconds after your morning coffee. Want to save money? Drop $1 in a jar every night before bed. Then, make it effortless, remove obstacles. Keep that meditation app open, that jar on your nightstand. Finally, stack it. Link your new habit to something you never skip, like brushing your teeth or eating lunch. Here's a trick I use. I keep a habit tracker on my fridge. Every day I stick to my routine, say, writing for 10 minutes, I mark an X. Seeing that chain of X's grow feels like a game, and I don't want to break it. It's not about perfection. It's about showing up. The Stoics would nod at this. Seneca said consistency trumps talent. It's not what you do once in a while, but what you do every day that shapes your life. Now, think about your own life. What's one habit you'd love to build? Picture how it could ripple outward. Morning walks boosting your energy. Daily reading sparking new ideas. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Design a system that makes it inevitable. Because when you build habits that stick, you're not just changing your routine, you're building a foundation for everything you want to become. That foundation, though, needs fuel, energy, and care to keep it strong. Next, we'll dive into why investing in yourself isn't just important, it's essential. Invest in yourself first. Picture a lumberjack deep in the forest, swinging an old, dull axe at a towering tree. Each strike barely chips the bark, and by dusk, he's exhausted, hands blistered, with little to show for his effort. One day, a friend suggests, "Why not sharpen your axe? It'll make the work easier." But the lumberjack snaps back, "I don't have time. I've got to keep cutting." Sound familiar? Too often, we're just like that lumberjack, grinding through life with worn-out tools. Our minds foggy, our bodies drained, because we think we can't afford to pause and invest in ourselves. But here's the truth, my friend. If you don't take care of your mind and body, you'll burn out long before you reach your dreams. Marcus Aurelius knew this centuries ago when he said, "Always choose to strengthen your mind and body, for everything else depends on it." Investing in yourself isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of everything you want to achieve. Let's revisit Laura's journey. When she started her transformation, it wasn't just about writing down goals or taking small steps. She realized something deeper. She couldn't pour energy into her new life if she was running on empty. So, she began carving out time for herself. 10 minutes of stretching to ease her body, a quiet moment with a book to feed her mind. At first, it felt selfish, like she was stealing time from her responsibilities. But those moments weren't theft. They were deposits, building her strength, her clarity, her joy. Over time, she wasn't just a better version of herself. She was a better friend, a better colleague, a better human. That's the magic of self-investment. It doesn't just lift you. it lifts everyone around you. Think about this. Your mind and body are the only tools you'll carry through every challenge, every dream, every day of your life. Neglect them and everything gets harder. Work feels like a slog, relationships strain, even small tasks loom large. But nurture them, and you unlock a kind of energy that makes anything possible. Psychology has a term for what happens when you ignore yourself: caregiver syndrome. It's what hits people who give everything to others. Family, friends, jobs, until they're depleted, anxious, lost. A 2020 study from the American Psychological Association found that chronic self-neglect leads to higher rates of stress and burnout. The fix? Small, intentional acts of self-care. Not spa days or grand gestures, just moments that recharge you. Here's a real-life example. My neighbor, Sarah, used to juggle a demanding job and 2 kids, always putting herself last. She'd skip meals, stay up late, and brush off her exhaustion with, "I'll rest later." But later never came, until she got sick and had to take a month off work. That was her wake-up call. She started simple. A 15-minute walk after dinner, a notebook to jot down her thoughts before bed. Those changes didn't just heal her body. They gave her the energy to show up fully for her family. Now, she's teaching her kids to prioritize themselves too, breaking the cycle of burnout for the next generation. So, how do you invest in yourself without appending your life? Start small, but start today. Dedicate 20 minutes to something that fuels you. Read a page of an inspiring book, take a walk without your phone, or just sit and breathe deeply. Protect that time like it's a meeting with your most important client, you. And here's a big one: learn to say no. Every time you say no to something that drains you, an extra errand, a toxic conversation, you're saying yes to your well-being. It's not about being selfish. It's about being strategic. You can't give your best if you're giving from an empty tank. I want you to picture yourself a month from now, after investing in yourself every day. Maybe you're sleeping better, thinking clearer, smiling more. That version of you isn't a fantasy. It's a choice. Marcus Aurelius didn't become a great emperor by accident. He built himself day by day, sharpening his mind and body like a craftsman hones his tools. You have that same power. So, ask yourself, what's one thing you can do today to sharpen your axe? Because when you invest in yourself, you're not just building a better day, you're building a better life. And here's the thing, those investments don't have to be huge to make a difference. Sometimes the smallest steps lead to the biggest changes. Let's explore how tiny actions can transform your world. Progress through small steps. Imagine an elephant, massive and unstoppable, striding across the savannah with unshakable confidence. Now picture it as a baby, wobbling on shaky legs, tumbling into the dirt with every try. That elephant didn't learn to walk in one grand leap. It took countless small steps, each one stronger than the last, until it became the giant it was meant to be. That's how progress works, my friend. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight or chase dramatic breakthroughs. The Stoics taught us that real transformation comes from tiny, consistent efforts, improving just 1% every day. Those small steps, they're the secret to building a life that doesn't just meet your goals but blows past them. Let's think about Laura again. When she started her journey, her ambitions were modest. A page read here, a short walk there. She didn't aim to change the world. She just wanted to feel alive again. But those small actions compounded. A page became a book, a walk became a habit, and soon she was tackling challenges she'd once thought impossible. Laura didn't wait for a perfect moment. She started where she was, with what she had. And that's the beauty of small steps. They're never out of reach. No matter how busy you are, how tired, how overwhelmed, you can always take one step forward. This idea isn't new, but it's powerful. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, popularized the concept of marginal gains, getting 1% better every day. Do the math, improve by 1% daily for a year, and you're not just a little better, you're 37 times better. It sounds like magic, but it's just consistency. Take reading, for example. If you read 4 pages a day, about 10 minutes, you'll finish 5 or 6 books in a year. That's not just knowledge. That's a new perspective, new ideas, new confidence. Or think about saving money. Skip one $5 coffee a week, and by year's end, you've got over $250. Small? Sure. But stack those choices and you're building wealth. I want to tell you about my friend Alex, who always dreamed of running a marathon but could barely jog a block. Instead of diving into grueling workouts, he started with a 5-minute walk every morning. Just 5 minutes, no pressure. After a week, he added a minute of jogging. Then 2. 6 months later, he ran his first 5K, and last month, he crossed the finish line of a half marathon, tears streaming down his face. Alex didn't transform by chasing a big leap. He did it by trusting small steps to carry him forward. His story reminds me of what Marcus Aurelius said, "Nothing happens suddenly. Everything is the result of small steps." Every stride Alex took was a vote for the person he wanted to become. Science agrees. A 2021 study from the University of Pennsylvania showed that people who break goals into microtasks, like writing one sentence instead of a whole essay, are 35% more likely to stick with them. Why? Because small steps bypass overwhelm. Your brain doesn't panic when the task is bite-sized. It just gets to work. And here's the kicker. Every step you take releases a hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical that keeps you motivated. It's like your brain rewarding you for showing up. So how do you start? Pick one area of your life you want to improve: health, skills, relationships. Then choose a step so small it feels silly. Want to eat better? Swap one soda for water today. Want to connect more? Send a quick text to a friend. Make it easy. Keep that water bottle on your desk, that friend's number pinned in your phone. And don't skip the celebration. When you hit your step, give yourself a mental high five. It's not about the size of the win. It's about the habit of winning. Over time, those 1% improvements stack up, and one day you'll look back and realize you're not just better, you're unstoppable. Try this tomorrow. Before your day begins, write down one small step you'll take. Maybe it's 3 deep breaths to start your morning, a sentence toward that project, or a kind word to someone you love. Then do it and feel the shift. Because progress isn't about speed, it's about direction. And every step, no matter how small, is moving you toward the life you're meant to live. But small steps alone won't get you there if you're afraid to step outside your comfort zone. That's where growth really happens. Let's dive into why embracing discomfort is your next big move. Embrace discomfort to grow. Imagine a baby bird perched on the edge of its nest, wings trembling, the ground far below. It's warm and safe where it is, food brought right to its beak. But staying there forever means never flying, never seeing the world beyond the branches. To live fully, it has to jump, scary, uncertain, but necessary. That's what discomfort feels like, my friend. A leap into the unknown that unlocks who you're meant to be. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, didn't shy away from this truth. He called adversity the training ground of the soul. Not a punishment, but a gym where your spirit gets stronger. Comfort might feel good, but it's a trap. If everything's easy, you're not growing, you're just coasting. Real progress lives on the other side of fear, and it's time to start chasing it. Let's go back to Laura's story. When she began her journey, discomfort was her biggest hurdle. The idea of waking up early to write her goals felt awkward. She'd never been a morning person. Trying new things, like signing up for a class or speaking up at work, made her stomach churn. But each time she leaned into that unease, taking a deep breath and doing it anyway, she grew. That first shaky step of reading a page in the morning became a habit. That nervous moment of raising her hand in a meeting turned into confidence. Laura learned what Seneca knew. Discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your compass, pointing straight to growth. Think about the last time you avoided something because it scared you. Maybe it was asking for a raise, starting a new hobby, or even having a tough conversation. You told yourself, "I'll do it when I'm ready." But ready never came. That's because comfort is seductive. It whispers that staying put is safer. But safe doesn't make you stronger. Look at people like the creators of Yes Theory, who built a movement around seeking discomfort. They've traveled with no money, stayed with strangers, said yes to wild experiences most would dodge. Each leap stretched them, proving that growth isn't found in certainty. It's found in the mess, the risk, the jump. Here's the science. Discomfort rewires you. A 2017 study from Yale found that facing challenges, like public speaking or physical exertion, activates neural pathways linked to resilience. Each time you push through fear, your brain learns it's not a threat. It's a chance to adapt. It's like lifting weights, your muscles ache, but that's how they grow. Life works the same way. That knot in your stomach before a big moment, it's not a stop sign. It's a signal you're about to level up. Let me share something personal. I used to dread public speaking. My heart would race, my voice would crack. But I signed up for a local Toastmasters club, shaking as I walked in. My first speech was a mess, stuttering, forgetting lines, but I kept going week after week, each talk a little less terrifying. Now, I can present to a room of executives without blinking. That fear didn't vanish because I got better. It faded because I faced it over and over until it lost its power. Discomfort became my teacher, not my tormentor. So here's your challenge. Pick one thing that makes you uneasy. Maybe it's saying no to a draining commitment, trying a new skill, or reaching out to someone you admire. Write it down, make it real. Then this week, take one step toward it. If it's socializing, say hi to a stranger. If it's a goal, start with 5 minutes of research. Don't overthink, just act. And when you feel that twinge of fear, smile and tell yourself, this is growth. Because every time you choose discomfort, you're not just surviving it, you're rewriting what's possible. Seneca lived this. He'd sleep on the floor, eat simple meals, wear plain clothes, not because he had to, but because he wanted to train his soul to thrive no matter what. You don't need to go that far, but you do need to start seeing unease as a sign you're on the right path. Because a life without challenge is a life without change. But chasing growth isn't about external rewards. It's about finding value in the work itself. That's where true success lies, and it's what we'll explore next. Work for yourself, not for applause. Picture yourself on a stage, pouring your heart into a performance. Maybe a speech, a project, or a dream you've worked months to bring to life. The spotlight fades, and the room stays silent. No claps, no cheers, no pats on the back. How do you feel? If your heart sinks, you're not alone. We're wired to crave approval, to measure our worth by what others think. But here's a hard truth. If you tie your value to applause, you're building your life on quicksand. Marcus Aurelius saw through this illusion centuries ago, urging us to do every act of your life as though it were your last. He didn't mean chase praise, he meant chase purpose. Real success isn't in the crowd's reaction. It's in knowing you gave your all, for you. Laura's story shows this beautifully. When she started her transformation, no one noticed. Her early mornings, her quiet moments of learning, her small wins, they didn't make headlines. Friends didn't throw her a parade. Co-workers didn't clap. Times she wondered if it mattered. But each night, when she lay in bed, she felt a spark of pride. Not because others saw her effort, but because she did. That inner satisfaction, that quiet, I kept my promise to myself, became her fuel. Marcus Aurelius would have nodded. She wasn't working for validation. She was working for her soul. Let's make this real. Think about why you do what you do. Are you grinding at your job for a boss's nod? Posting online for likes? Helping others to hear thank you? If your drive depends on external rewards, you're setting yourself up for a fall. Because applause fades, people forget, opinions shift. But the work you do for yourself, for your growth, your values, your truth, that's unshakable. Consider someone like Vincent van Gogh. He painted masterpieces that now hang in museums, but in his lifetime he sold almost nothing. Critics ignored him, the public shrugged. Yet he kept painting, not for fame, but because it was his calling. His reward wasn't applause, it was the act of creating. Science backs this up too. A 2022 study in motivation and emotion found that intrinsic motivation, doing something for its own sake, leads to greater persistence and satisfaction than chasing external rewards. When you work for yourself, setbacks don't crush you, they teach you. You're not tethered to others' whims, you're free. I learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I obsessed over feedback, tweaking every project to please my boss. I'd stay up late, stressed, chasing a great job, But when the praise didn't come, I felt empty. Then I shifted, started focusing on my own standards, my own growth. Suddenly, work wasn't a race for approval. It was a craft. Even when no one noticed, I felt fulfilled because I knew I'd done my best. Here's how to start. Pick one thing you're working on, a hobby, a goal, a daily task. Ask yourself, would I still do this if no one ever saw it? If the answer's no, dig deeper. What's driving you? Shift your focus to the process, not the payoff. If you're studying, savor the moment a concept clicks. If you're exercising, relish the strength in your body. Celebrate the work itself like a chef tasting their own dish before serving it. And when you catch yourself seeking validation, pause. Remind yourself, this is for me. Write it down if you have to. Stick it on your mirror. I am enough. This isn't about ignoring others. It's about rooting your worth in yourself. Because when you work for your own pride, no silence can dim your light. And that freedom is what lets you lift others up without losing yourself. But lifting others starts with knowing your own strength isn't selfish. It's the key to giving more. That's what we'll dive into next. Becoming better isn't selfish. It's essential. Have you ever felt a pang of guilt for wanting to focus on yourself? Maybe you carved out an hour to read, exercise, or chase a dream, only to hear a voice, your own or someone else's, say, "You're being selfish." It's a trap we've all fallen into, conditioned to believe that putting ourselves first means neglecting others. But let me flip that script for you. Improving yourself isn't selfish. It's the most generous thing you can do. Seneca nailed this centuries ago when he said, "If you want to help the world, first improve yourself." Think about it. How can you lift others up if you're barely holding yourself together? When you strengthen your mind, body, and spirit, you're not taking away from anyone. You're building a well of energy, wisdom, and love to share with the world. Let's revisit Laura's journey. When she started investing in herself, those early mornings writing goals, those quiet moments learning something new, she faced skepticism. Friends raised eyebrows. Family wondered why she wasn't there as much. But Laura wasn't retreating. She was rebuilding. As she grew stronger, clearer, more alive, something beautiful happened. She showed up better for everyone. She listened more deeply to her friends, brought new ideas to work, even inspired her niece to start journaling. Her growth didn't isolate her. It amplified her ability to give. That's the Stoic truth Seneca understood. A stronger you isn't a gift just for you. It's a gift for everyone you touch. Picture a plane taking off. The flight attendant always says, "Put on your own oxygen mask before helping others." It's not because you matter more. It's because you can't help anyone if you're gasping for air. Life's the same way. If you're drained, stressed, or lost, your ability to support your family, friends, or community dwindles. But when you're thriving, mentally sharp, physically strong, emotionally grounded, you bring your best to every moment. A 2019 study from the Journal of Positive Psychology found that people who prioritize self-care report higher life satisfaction and stronger relationships. Why? Because when you're whole, you give from abundance, not obligation. I want to share a story about my friend Marcus. He used to pour everything into his family, working overtime, skipping sleep, always saying yes to their needs. But he was crumbling, short-tempered, exhausted. One day, his daughter asked why he looked so sad. That hit hard. He realized he wasn't giving her his best. He was giving her his leftovers. So he started small, 30 minutes a day for himself, running or reading. At first, he felt guilty, like he was stealing time. But soon, his mood lifted, his patience grew, and his daughter noticed. "You laugh more now, Dad," she said. Marcus's self-improvement wasn't selfish. It gave his family a better father, a brighter home. Here's how you can start. Dedicate 1 hour a week to something that builds you up. Maybe it's a walk to clear your mind, a class to spark your curiosity, or a journal to process your thoughts. Protect that time fiercely. Treat it like a promise to your future self. And when someone questions it, stand tall. You don't owe an explanation for growing. If they say, "You've changed," smile and say, "Good, that's the point." Because every step you take toward a better you is a step toward a better world for those you care about. Try this today. Write down one way you want to grow. Maybe learning a skill, getting healthier, or finding calm. Then take one action, no matter how small, to move toward it. That's not selfishness. It's stewardship of the only life you've got. Because when you shine, you light the way for others too. But shining brighter means letting go of something toxic, comparing yourself to others. That's the thief of joy we'll tackle next. Stop comparing, start growing. Imagine you're running a race, legs pumping, heart steady, eyes on the path ahead. You're in your groove, making progress. Then, out of nowhere, you glance sideways. Someone's sprinting faster. Another looks effortless. And suddenly, your rhythm falters. You tense up, lose focus, and instead of moving forward, you're stuck wondering why you're not them. That's what comparison does. It doesn't push you. It paralyzes you. Epictetus saw this clearly. Don't worry about what others do. Focus on what you can control. Your race isn't against anyone else, my friend. It's against the you of yesterday. The sooner you embrace that, the faster you'll run toward the life you want. Laura learned this lesson the hard way. Early in her journey, she'd scroll through social media, seeing friends with flashy vacations, perfect jobs, or seemingly flawless lives. Each post chipped away at her confidence, whispering, "You're behind." But one day she caught herself. Why am I measuring my life against theirs? She thought. She didn't know their struggles, their doubts, their reality, just their highlight reels. So, she made a choice. No phone for the first hour of her day. Instead, she'd write down one thing she wanted to improve, her focus, her health, her courage, and take a step toward it. That shift didn't just free her from comparison. It freed her to grow. Let's be real. Comparison is a trap we all fall into, especially in a world where everyone's life is on display. You open Instagram and there's someone launching a startup, another hitting the gym at 5 a.m., a friend on their third trip this year. It's easy to feel like you're failing, like everyone's ahead. But here's the truth. You're not seeing their full story, just the polished parts they choose to share. A 2021 study from the American Journal of Public Health linked heavy social media use to lower self-esteem, especially when people compare themselves to curated images. That perfect influencer? They've got struggles too, bills, breakups, bad days. They're just not posting them. I remember a time I got sucked into this. A colleague was getting promotions, praise, everything I wanted. I'd stew, thinking, what's wrong with me? But one day I flipped the script. Instead of obsessing over her path, I asked, how can I be better than I was last week? I started tracking my own wins, finishing a tough project, learning a new skill. Suddenly, her success didn't dim mine. It inspired me to focus on my race. That shift was like taking off a backpack full of bricks. I ran lighter, faster, freer. Here's how to break the cycle. Set your own benchmarks. Want to grow? Measure yourself against who you were yesterday, not someone else's highlight reel. If you wrote one sentence today and none last week, that's progress. If you walked a mile when Sabrina, a local variable is a specific variable created by a function that cannot be accessed from outside the function's scope. The variable is only available for use inside the function where it was created. If you need to access the value, you must return it from the function or store it in a variable that has a broader scope. The scope of a variable refers to where it can be accessed in the code. Variables declared inside a function are local to that function and cannot be accessed outside of it unless they are explicitly returned or stored elsewhere. Variables declared outside of a function have a broader scope, such as global scope, and can be accessed from anywhere in the code. Scope determines where a variable is available for use, and understanding it is crucial for managing data flow in a program. Scope ensures that variables are only accessible where they are needed, helping to prevent unintended interactions and making code easier to manage. Now, how can I assist you further? Ran a mile last month, that's a win. And here's a game changer. Skip social media in the morning. Studies, like one from the Journal of Social Psychology in 2020, show that starting your day scrolling can tank your mood and focus. Instead, begin with intention. Write a goal, stretch, or sip coffee in silence. It's your race, your rules. Try this tomorrow. Before you touch your phone, ask, How can I be 1% better today? Maybe it's a kind word, a quick workout, or a moment of gratitude. Then do it and feel the difference. Because the only comparison that matters is with the person you were yesterday, and that's a race you're already winning. Make every moment count. Have you ever been with someone you love? Maybe at dinner with your family or catching up with a friend, but realized you weren't really there? Your body's present, but your mind's wandering. Checking your phone, thinking about work, or planning tomorrow's to-do list. Those moments slip away, and before you know it, you've missed something precious. A laugh, a story, a connection that might never come again. Seneca hit the nail on the head when he said, "It's not that we have little time, but that we waste a lot of it." Time isn't just about hours, it's about quality. Whether it's with others or yourself, being truly present transforms fleeting minutes into memories, growth, and meaning. That's the difference between living and just existing, my friend. Let's revisit Laura's transformation. As she grew stronger in her habits and belief in herself, she noticed something else shifting: her relationships. Early on, she'd sit with her sister, half listening, distracted by her phone or worries. But as she learned to invest in herself, she saw how much she'd been shortchanging those she cared about. So, she made a change. No screens during their coffee chats, no rushing through conversations. She'd ask questions, really listen, and let the moment breathe. Those hours became sacred, not because they were long, but because they were real. Laura wasn't just nurturing her bonds. She was nurturing her soul. And when she carved out quiet time for herself, reading, reflecting, walking, she found the same truth. Quality time isn't about quantity. It's about presence. Think about your own life. When was the last time you gave someone, or yourself, your full attention? Not just nodding along while scrolling or rushing through a task, but truly showing up. It's easy to let distractions hijack us. Texts pinging, notifications buzzing, thoughts racing. But those interruptions steal more than focus. They steal connection. A 2022 study from the Journal of Family Psychology found that technofrance, phone use during family time, reduces relationship satisfaction and weakens bonds. Kids feel it, partners notice it, even you sense it when you're half in, half out. And it's not just others. How often do you give yourself real time? Not mindless scrolling, but moments to think, feel, grow? Here's a story that drives this home. My cousin Emily used to pack her days with errands, work, and endless screen time, always busy, but never fulfilled. One evening, her son, barely 6, tugged at her sleeve and said, "Mom, why are you always on your phone?" That stopped her cold. She realized she was there but not present. So, she started a ritual. Dinner with no devices, just her and her son talking. Silly stories, big dreams, anything. Those meals didn't just rebuild their bond. They reminded Emily to be present for herself too. Now, she sets aside 15 minutes each night to journal or sit quietly, no distractions. That small shift made her feel alive again, like she was finally living her days, not just surviving them. So, how do you make time count? Start with one intentional moment a day. With others, try this. Put your phone away, really away, when you're together. If you're with family, ask, "What's the best thing that happened today?" And listen like it's the only thing that matters. With friends, plan a real meetup, no texting, just talking, laughing, being. For yourself, carve out a pocket of time to do something meaningful. Write a thought, stretch your body, or just breathe deeply. Make it a ritual like brushing your teeth, something you don't skip. And when distractions creep in, notice them, set them aside, and come back to now. Because now is all you've got. I want you to picture tonight reflecting on your day. How will it feel to know you were fully there? For a conversation, a quiet moment, a step toward your dreams. That's the power of quality time. It doesn't just fill hours. It fills your life with purpose. So, don't let another day slip through your fingers half-lived. Be present and watch how everything changes. But presence alone isn't enough to build the life you want, because without discipline, even the best intentions fade. That's the key we'll unlock next. Discipline is your superpower. Here's a truth no one likes to hear. Motivation is a spark, not a fire. It flares up, makes you feel unstoppable, then fizzles out when the alarm clock rings or the day gets tough. If you wait for that spark to carry you, you'll spend most of your life waiting. The Stoics knew this, and they had a better answer: discipline. It's the engine that keeps you moving when motivation bails, the quiet commitment that turns dreams into reality. Epictetus put it bluntly: nothing great is achieved without effort and discipline. Want to know what separates those who talk about change from those who live it? It's not talent or luck. It's showing up every single day, no matter what. Discipline isn't flashy, my friend, but it's your superpower. Laura's story proves this. When she started her journey, motivation came and went. Some mornings, she'd leap out of bed, ready to conquer her goals. Others, she wanted to hit snooze and forget it all. But she didn't rely on feelings. She built a system: 20 minutes each morning to write, read, or move her body, no excuses. Even on rough days, she'd stick to it, sometimes just scribbling one sentence or walking for 5 minutes. That discipline wasn't about perfection. It was about persistence. Over time, those minutes became hours, those steps became miles, and Laura didn't just change her habits. She changed her life. Discipline was her anchor, keeping her steady when the winds of doubt blew hard. Let's get real. Discipline sounds tough, like a drill sergeant barking orders. But it's not about punishment, it's about freedom. When you commit to showing up for yourself, you're not chained to whims or moods. You're in control. Think of someone like Serena Williams. She didn't become a tennis legend by training only when she felt like it. Rain or shine, good days or bad, she hit the court, practiced her serve, honed her craft. That discipline didn't just win her titles. It gave her the power to shape her destiny. What could that kind of commitment do for you? Science backs this up. A 2020 study from Nature Human Behavior found that self-discipline predicts success better than IQ or socioeconomic status. Why? Because disciplined people don't just set goals, they build systems to reach them. They prioritize, plan, and act, even when it's hard. I learned this when I wanted to write a book. I'd wait for inspiration, but weeks passed with nothing done. So, I set a rule: 15 minutes of writing every morning, no matter what. Some days, I'd produce garbage. Others, I'd hit gold. But every day I showed up. 2 years later, I had a manuscript. Not perfect, but real. Discipline didn't make it easy. It made it possible. Here's how to start. Pick one priority, something that matters to you, like health, learning, or relationships. Then block out time for it daily, even if it's just 10 minutes. Make it non-negotiable, like a meeting with yourself. Write it down, call it a contract. I will read 1 page every night. I will walk after lunch. Sign it if it helps. And if you waver, find an accountability partner, not to nag, but to nudge you back on track. My friend Jen did this. She told me her goal to meditate daily, and I text her a gentle, "Did you sit today?" That tiny push kept her going, and now meditation's her rock. Try this tomorrow. List your top 3 priorities. Pick one, and commit to 1 small action daily. 5 push-ups, 1 email drafted, a moment of gratitude. Then do it, rain or shine. When you slip, and you will, don't quit. Start again. Because discipline isn't about being flawless. It's about being faithful to your future self. Picture this a year from now. You stronger, clearer, prouder because you chose discipline over distraction. That's not a fantasy. It's a choice you make every day. So what will it be? Waiting for the perfect moment, or building the life you want, one disciplined step at a time? As we stand at the end of this journey through 13 Stoic lessons, let's pause and take a breath together. Picture Laura, the woman who once felt her potential slipping away, now living with purpose, not because she changed everything overnight, but because she chose to show up differently each day. Her story isn't just hers. It's yours, mine, ours. Every lesson we've explored, from mastering your mind to embracing discipline, is a thread in the tapestry of your life. Alone, a single thread seems small, fragile even, but woven together with intention, those threads create something breathtaking. A life that's not just lived, but crafted moment by moment, choice by choice. Think about where you started. You learned you're not bound by circumstances, but by the limits you set in your mind. You saw each day as a chance to build something solid, something yours. You realized your potential isn't a distant star. It's right here, waiting for you to claim it. You built habits that don't rely on fleeting sparks but on steady systems. Invested in yourself not out of selfishness but to give more to those you love. You stepped into discomfort, worked for your own pride, and stopped chasing others' races. You gave your time the quality it deserves and found that discipline, not motivation, is the key to it all. These aren't just ideas, they're tools handed down by the Stoics, sharpened by Laura's story, and now in your hands. But here's the thing, my friend. Tools don't build anything unless you pick them up. Laura didn't transform by wishing for it. She acted one small, brave step at a time. And you can too. Your life isn't a rehearsal. It's happening right now. Every choice you make today, whether to pause and breathe, to face a fear, or to show up fully for someone you care about, is a stitch in your masterpiece. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, persistent, and true to the person you're becoming. In our fast-paced, noisy world, these Stoic lessons are more vital than ever. We're bombarded with distractions, endless notifications, pressure to hustle, comparisons screaming from every screen. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to drift through days without meaning. But you have the power to cut through that chaos. Start your morning with intention, not your phone. 5 minutes to set a goal or reflect keeps you grounded. Say no to what drains you. Protect your energy like it's gold. When life feels heavy, ask, what can I control? And let the rest go. Build one tiny habit, a walk, a page read, a kind word, and watch it grow. And above all, be kind to yourself. Progress is messy, but every step counts. The world pulls you in 1,000 directions, but these principles pull you back to what matters. You, your growth, your connections. They're not outdated philosophy. They're a playbook for thriving in 2025 and beyond. Whether you're navigating a career shift, a relationship, or just trying to find your footing, these tools work because they're about you taking charge of you. So, my friend, what will you do with this moment? Don't let these lessons sit as words on a screen. Make them real. Head over to Zenlight 8 on YouTube and join our community of Stoic warriors crafting lives with purpose. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and dive into our playlist for more stories, ideas, and wisdom to keep you moving forward. And here's my challenge. Drop a comment below with one word, presence. As a reminder to be here, now, fully alive in this moment. Let's see who's ready to weave their masterpiece, one day at a time. Until next time, keep choosing growth, and let's build something extraordinary together.